Hi everyone, and welcome back to Riven. Now, we've just arrived at the next island. And you remember that we came from the crater island from Gen's laboratory. And there we can see Crater Island in the distance, as well as the minecart runway over there. And of course we can see back over here the forest island. And we can also see that there's another tram system running that way. Now, I did say on the last video that I'd explain the code that we found in Gaines' notebook, as well as I'd go over a sort of culmination of everything that we've learned so far, which I will do in a minute, once we've just had a little look at this island right here. And we can already see the quite typical azure water that we get on Riven. This kind of, I would say, volcanic coloured water and rock material, igneous rocks. Again, quite classic. We can see that Gen has been at work here with all the tusks lining around. Gen with his war on walks. And we can see down below us, it seems to be some other rooms down here that we could not see. Maybe there'll be access to those ahead or a different way, but definitely something down there that we need. I should also say that when going back over my notes, I found that we have only so far, after we went to Gen's laboratory, found another one of the balls, the animal balls that we've been looking at. And Gen's ball has the symbol for the number 1 on. Obviously, we found the number system from the schoolroom. However, that means that so far we have only collected 4 balls. And as we know on Riven, 5 is pretty much your key to the entire game. So we have another ball to find, and I had forgotten where it was, but you may remember that when I originally was looking around for the balls, we went down to where the sun lounging animals were, down by the sea, and I was absolutely certain that there was a ball down there. I was absolutely sure. I'm pretty sure that's where the 5th ball is, so we need to go back and have a look around the area. There might also be some other clues down there. Okay, so anyway, we can go back through some strange sort of clay mountainous little things here. These look quite sort of topographic. More walk tusks. It's always good to kind of look around as you walk through an area, because quite often you may miss things if you don't do that. I'm just taking a look at these things here. And you can see that these have some curious kind of pressure valves embedded all the way through them, so perhaps that serves some function. But can't help but feel that these feel quite representative of... It seems to me they look very much like islands, so... And let's see what else we've got here. I'm just going to go straight up here now. Okay, now we're obviously in some kind of lift system, all the cables and pulleys. And evidently that's correct. Okay, we seem to have some kind of walkway and keypad in front of us. Some little mechanism on the front here, maybe it's a pulley or whatever. We have some symbols right here. And I think it's pretty clear that these, I mean, this is the one that really gives it away. We can see the huge hole. This is Forest Island. So it stands to reason that, again, this would be Dome Island, this would be Crater, and the one that we're on right now here is Survey. Now, it's pretty obvious that this little device here relates to each of these islands. And of course this fifth island right here that we have not seen, we don't know what it is. So let's just try clicking one of these. Let's do the first one. Okay, and pretty much as we thought, those pressure valves we're using again Gen's water resistance mechanism, his scientific discovery there of the bacteria in the water, to form what I assume is the sort of relief of those islands. Now, as with anything, so far in my journal, I have been recording the shapes, the eyes for the domes that we've been going around and seeing. You remember that on each of the domes there is a golden eye, and they're all slightly different shapes and designs. Now, whenever you're playing through Riven, it's very, very important that you record as much information about everything as possible. So I've been recording numbers, symbols, and everything else. For example, also been drawing the balls and the symbols on the balls that we found. So this little symbol right here is obviously going to have some importance. So I'm going to just sketch this out. And it doesn't need to be super detailed or anything, because it's just a few square lines. But again, there's usually nothing that doesn't have a purpose. Right. Now we've got that detail, we can go back. And we'll leave that one pressed down for now and see whether it affects anything else around here. Okay, so we do seem to have some kind of room here, some little habitation. And funnily enough, we can see over here a spinning dome. So that's as we know, the little magnifier that stops the domes is rarely next to them. Oh, and again we can see a little idol to the walks here. Very nice of them to make a statue, considering the fact they've obviously killed so many to collect all of these tusks. And yes, here in fact is the little, whatever you want to call it, eye graph thing. Now, unfortunately, it seems that something or someone has knocked this little telescope to the side, so we can't see correctly the symbols as they pass around. However, if you've got a sharp eye, I would expect that you can actually pretty much see what those symbols are. Now, as I say, I've been recording all the info as we've been going around, so I've collected so far the golden eye symbols. And also don't forget that you can very easily start them running again should you need to. So if you miss that golden eye, as the machine stops, you can actually close it and have another look. Okay, now as we can see, right, you see the gold spinning around right there, and as it passes there, what we can see is a circle with a horizontal line there, right there, a horizontal line going through it. So we shall add this to the book, survey and circle horizontal line. There we go. So now we have the symbol for the dome on this island. And I mention that now because at this stage in the game, these symbols are more relevant than they would have been earlier on. However, we want to stop and open that dome. So we'll go back through and stop the dome. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to anticipate this dome, so you literally have to just kind of thrash the button in the vain hope that at some point you're going to hit it as the gold circle passes, and there we go. You can almost kind of half see it there as it stops, but you really need to go and have a look at it like we did. Okay, there we go. Right, now let's go and have a look inside our little house machine temple. I think you can see some, if we look back, I think along the edge of the building here, you can actually see this looks quite like the writing, the inscribings that we saw in the schoolroom. So whether or not that's actually some writing that's perhaps relevant to this area of the map. It's obviously a floating platform. Okay, now let's have a look at what we got here. Now, evidently, this is related to the symbols that we saw back outside with the reliefs. And again, as I say, I'm pretty sure this is writing running along around the outside here. Now, again, it's worth noting down for our own memories and relevance the symbols and layouts that we see here. So what we've got is a grid 5x5. And then we've got the 4 dots representing the way that the machine is turned. So let's see if we click these dots, does anything happen? Okay, now that has brought up an angle of the island itself. And then we can rotate the symbol. However, notice that within the square it originally started as, it stays in a specific place. So this obviously stays relative to its position on the original table, the original button. So again, that's obviously significant. So again, let's click a different button. Now, as I say, we're on, this is Crater Island. And what features we may be looking for is difficult to say. Anyway, so we've learned that there is this some sort of topographic machine here. And we've learned that that relates. And it relates to the islands. And we can look at the features of the islands through the machine. It's got a 5x5 grid. And we'll have to see what other information that can give us later on. Can lightning bolt? Where can we lightning bolt to? How about that? We skipped through time. So we can jump down the lift, but we can't fly forward here apparently. Okay, and over here you can see that the water resisting machine is still running. And we can see that it's our crater island is still there. Now, the only other thing that we have not looked at on this island is the underground area. So we should probably go and have a look there. And no different view from here, so we'll just have to go and see what we can see. The only other area we can go back to is the tramway. Or it's the maglev or whatever it's called. So we'll go back down and see what we can see down here. Now, once we're actually back in the tram here, we can see there is actually a door on the other side, but there's no way to get in. However, we can turn our car around. And there we go. So by turning the car around, it gives us access to this door right here. The sound here feels very much like it's some kind of industrial place, a lot of heat, more walk tusks everywhere. So perhaps one of the most elaborate elevators you will ever see. Let's take another little ride. I hope this thing's waterproof, or it doesn't leak. Okay, let's continue to explore. You can really hear this sound of the energy down in this place. There's our thing. We obviously cut down into the ground here. Tons of heat and energy down here. It'll only turn me 180 degrees. Let's see what's up further ahead. Mysterious corridors. Let's see what lies ahead for us. Oh my god. It's another person and he's running away. One of the rare people you'll actually see in Riven. Let's chase him and see if we can get anything out of him. He's trying to escape from us. Ah, there he is. We're too late. We were too slow. He escaped from us already. And he's taken the damn tram with him as well. Never mind. Well, now that we're in the peace and quiet, let's just take this short opportunity to actually have a look at the journal that I've been making. So as I said, I've been collecting information and generally making notes as we go through. So the first thing that we need to look at, I've just taken a couple of images. The first one is of the spheres, the balls around the island that we've been seeing that Gen mentioned he'd noticed but didn't really know what they were. And you can see that what I've done is I've been recording the balls and the symbols on them, as well as their associated animal noises that we've heard. Now the first one was the very first one we found, the frog, and remember the symbol of the frog was cut into the relief of the rock. The second one that we found was the beetle. Notice also that the frog symbol, now we've been able to decipher the numbers as well. So the frog ball we know has got a 3, the beetle one has 2. The Sun Loungers ball that we found, remember that there wasn't actually a ball near to the Sun Loungers, but it was the ball that we found in the forest with the giant dagger there. We went down the steps and that ball makes the sound of those Sun Loungers, and the number on that one was 4. And then we also found in Gen's laboratory the ball there. Now that made no sound, but the symbol on that was 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to find a ball with number 5, and then we also need to try and identify the sound of that one, and then hopefully that'll do it. But the first ball from Gen's office is going to be the tricky one, and what we will need to do with that is to rely on what other animals we may have seen around these islands, because all the other balls are related to animals, so we will need to find one. Also it's worth mentioning that in Gen's journal he noted that he'd found this ball floating out amongst the village there, so it was floating in water. So again, it could be something water related, it could be walk, it could be another water based animal. Okay, on this other page here we'll see that I translated Gen's age as his 233rd age. The symbols there are actually 9 and 8, but because it's made into one large number, and Denai is actually a base 25 number system for their numbers, so the actual number would be 9 times 25 plus 8, which gives 233rd age. And I've also noted down the numbers for the Denai system. Okay, also on the next page we've got the dome code. Now you remember that in Gen's journal he'd noted down the code for the linking book domes that we've been finding around the islands. And this has been translated. We've got the number 2, number 3, we've got 13, which is a 3 and a 10. We've got the number 16, which is actually 3 rotated 90 degrees. That multiplies it by 5, giving you 15, and then we have a vertical line, which is 1, making it 16, and the last number is the number 4, rotated 90 degrees, which is multiplied again by 5, making it 20. So our dome code is 2, 3, 13, 16, and 20. And for Gen's code, basically it requires a bit of logical thinking to work out these codes. Now for number 1, that's a line. 5 is the same, but it's actually rotated, okay? And remember that 5 is essential, it's the core of all the Denai systems. Now 2 is a curved line, and then when you rotate that again it becomes 10. So again, 2 times 5 is 10. It's also worth noting that the numbers above 5 are all combinations of the number 5, with the exception of 10 with its lower numerals. So from this we can deduce that any number that's rotated is a multiplication of 5 or its original numeral, and that's how we work out the code with the 16 and also the 20. And as I say, on this last one as well, we've been working out the dome symbols, but I will post the image of that later on once we've got more information. At the moment it's literally just those written down. Okay, so we found out a bit of information about the codes and the general information that we've been finding out. On the next episode we're going to have a look around this area, and we're also going to be going back to Forest Island to try and find that last ball. See you for the next episode, guys.